Hi there, I'm Mr. Nunez and today's video lesson will be on absolute value. Let's get started. Well, what is absolute value? It's nothing but a fancy way of saying how far away a number is from zero. So if I were to ask you, what is the absolute value of 4? If you were to plot 4 on a number line, we can see that 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 units away from 0. So we can say that the absolute value of 4 is 4. You'll notice that I drew two vertical lines. Those are your absolute value signs. And anything inside of those two vertical lines, we have to find the absolute value of. Keep in mind also that opposite numbers have the same absolute value. So like we stated earlier, positive 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 units from 0, but its opposite, negative 4, is also 1, 2, 3, 4 units from 0 as well. So we can say that the absolute value of positive 4 is 4, but we can also say that the absolute value of negative 4 is also 4. Some points to remember before we go on. Absolute value is nothing but the distance a number has from 0. Opposite numbers have the same absolute value. And remember also that distance is never talked about as being negative. So the absolute value of a number, whether it's positive or negative, is always going to be positive. Let's take a look now at some real-world examples where we'd have to use absolute value. In this problem, it says the snowfall amount for this year was 13 inches below average. What is the absolute value of the snowfall amount? Okay, so we have 13 inches and it's below average, so we're talking about negative 13, and we have to find the absolute value of that. So we put the two vertical lines around negative 13 and we ask ourselves, how far away is negative 13 from 0? Well, we know that it is 13 units, so my answer is going to be 13. So we can see that this is our answer, but let's take a look at the other choices and see why those can't be. Alright, so the second choice says negative and then the absolute value sign and then negative 13 within it. So we have to simplify what's within the two vertical lines only. We cannot touch what's on the outside. So if I were to ask you what's the absolute value of this, you have to simplify negative 13. So we ask ourselves, how far away is negative 13 from 0? We know that it's 13 units, but because this sign is on the outside of the two vertical lines, we can't touch it. So we must bring it down and we'd end up with negative 13. So that's why this can't be the answer, because remember, we said one of the points was that distance is never talked about as being negative. Choice C says plainly negative 13, so that can't be the answer. Let's take a look at the last choice. It says negative and then the absolute value of 13. Remember, simplify what's inside the two vertical lines. So the absolute value of 13 is 13, but we can't touch what's on the outside. So we bring that down and we'd end up with negative 13. That's not the answer. Okay, in this problem it says, the temperature in Chicago was 15 degrees on February 10th and was negative 15 degrees on February 17th. Choose all the statements that are true. Since we're talking about temperature, I'm going to draw a thermometer, or do my best to draw a thermometer here. Alright, and I'm going to color code some things. We're going to choose pink for 15 degrees on February 10th and purple for negative 15 degrees on February 17th. Since it's negative 15 for February 17th, I know that's going to be below the 0. So I'm going to write that one here. And I'm going to write February 17th. And now I'm going to put February 10th on there. And we know that it's a positive number, so it's going to be above the 0. So I'm going to put that here and write down February 10th. Okay. Remember that since we're talking about temperature, we have to keep in mind that when temperature changes and it goes up, that means that temperature is getting hot. When temperature goes down, that means it's getting colder. Okay, so let's look at the statements and see which ones are true. It says it was colder on February 10th than it was on February 17th. February 10th is higher on the thermometer, therefore is towards the hot side, so we know that this can't be true because it's actually colder on February 17th than it is on the 10th, since it is lower on the thermometer. Statement 2 says it was colder on February 17th than on February 10th. Well, we just said that. Because it is lower on the thermometer, we know that it's more towards the cold side, so therefore this is true. Choice C says, or statement 3 says, The absolute values of the temperature on February 10th and 17th are the same. Well, let's take a look at the absolute values of 15 and of negative 15. And we just ask ourselves, how far away from 0 is positive 15? Well, it's 15 units. How far away from 0 is negative 15? Well, negative 15 is also just 15 units from 0. So therefore, that is correct. They are the same. So this is true. The next statement says the absolute value of the temperature on the 10th is greater than the absolute value for February 17th. Well, we just determined that they were both the same, so therefore this can't be correct. Let's take a look at another example. Here it says the table shows the stock price in dollars for 5 different companies on May 1st and May 31st. Complete the table to show the positive or negative change in price during May. So we're looking at change, whether it's positive or negative. Alright, so company A on May 1st had 73 and then it jumped up. So it had a positive change of 4 to get to 77. Let's fill up let's see the changes for all the companies first, and then we'll complete the change part. Company B did not change. It was 39 on May 1st and 39 on the 31st, so it had a 0 change. Company C went from 92 to 86, so it actually dropped 6 units. Company D went up from 64 to 69, 5 units. And Company E went down 4 units from 118 to 114. Alright, so we have to find the absolute value of each of these. Well, what is the absolute value of 4? We ask ourselves, how far away is positive 4 from 0 on the number line? And we know that it is 4 units away from 0, so the change was 4. What is the absolute value of 0? Well, how far away is 0 from itself? It's 0 units away from itself. So this had a 0 change. Company C, we have to find the absolute value of negative 6. Negative 6 is just 6 units away from 0. So this had a change of 6. Company D, we have to find the absolute value of 5. And we know that 5 is 5 units away from 0. So we had a change of 5 units. And Company E, find the absolute value of negative 4, and we know that negative 4 is 4 units away from 0, so we had 4 units of change. Okay, let's take a look at one more example. It says here that Franklin lost 4 yards on a play during the football game. So he lost 4 yards. Oh, let me fix that. He lost 4 yards. So if we lost, that means we're talking about a negative, right? And we lost 4 yards, so negative 4. It says, what is the absolute value that Franklin lost on the play? Well, if we're talking about negative 4, we plot that here, and we can see that negative 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 units from 0. So the absolute value of this is 4. So this will be our answer. Alright, that was absolute value. Thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure to check out more at mr.nestynunez.com and hit that like button if you like the video, and also subscribe for any future videos that I might put out. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.